Now, the rest of the story. Already political observers are calling it the most corrupt national political convention in American history. Wow, that's saying a lot. Yet, even if you did not see it on television, you're about to hear the rest of the story. You believe that you know why the candidate was nominated, but I'll bet not. He was chosen to represent his party as candidate for President of the United States, not because of his experience, but rather because of his lack of experience. Taking a hard look at credentials, one has to admit of all of those seeking their party's nomination, he, the eventual nominee, had the least significant record. That gave him the least to defend. His stand on the major issues was more vague than the positions of his opponents. Discussing the issues would be divisive, he had said, and thus was his party assured of a candidate with a relatively clean slate and a relatively manageable personality. You may also have assumed that the convention was sewed up. Oh no, there were loose threads dangling everywhere. The man who was ultimately to represent his party did not have the delegate votes necessary to nominate. Anyway, not as the convention opened. But that's when the boys in the back rooms went to work. In the back rooms where no TV camera ever ventured, they made themselves a king. Jesse was there. Jesse was among the movers and shakers and the hustlers and the schemers. They gave him the job of arm-twisting delegates, and he complied subserviently. Then came the drafting of dirty tricks. For instance, staffers spent the entire night one night signing the names of convention officers to counterfeit seat tickets. The intention was obvious, to jam the hall with their own supporters, keeping their opponents' minions to a minimum. Then there was the massive importation of demonstrators, and I mean anybody who could holler the right name was brought into the city, and by nomination eve, there were tens of thousands of demonstrators. There was the usual bribery, post-election rewards for pre-nomination delegate support. And after all was said and done, the party had cooked up the most scandalous American political convention ever. Ever. The day of the nomination, there was actually another hopeful on the same party who had 70-plus more delegate votes. He had 70 more delegate votes, but he didn't get the nomination. Oh, no, not after the cigar smoke had cleared. Jesse, of course, was elated. I'm talking about Jesse Fell. Jesse Fell, a Pennsylvania bigwig. And Jesse's candidate, representing the Republican Party, went on to win the election, and historians say they know why, because the winning candidate was supported throughout the campaign by the same clever characters who stole the convention. And because that same winning candidate, keeping a low profile, made himself a very small target. Regardless of what you may have assumed, he refused to debate. I said he refused to debate at all in the campaign which he won. And prior to the convention, he did not make a solitary campaign speech. He didn't make one single solitary statement in answer to newspaper criticisms. He did not say anything on the then hot topic of slavery. He said not one word in his campaign about slavery. In school, you were taught to call President Lincoln Honest Abe. Now you know the rest of the story.